Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
You can go home anytime you want.
That's it.
You're bullshitting me.
No.
He's bullshitting me, right?
No, Randall. He's telling you the truth. As a matter of fact, there are very few men here who are committed. There's Mr. Bromden, Mr. Tabor, some of the Chronics, and you.
Well, it's the 400th time we're doing this. My name is John.
My name is Lloyd. 400. My God. What date is this coming out?
So I'm going to do my best to put it out on the same day that you said the movie we're doing today, 1975's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, came out, and that was November 19th?
Yeah, that is correct.
All right. So if this comes out a couple days after that due to life and editing issues, sorry, but we're trying to get this out 50 years to the day.
To the day.
This episode has been delayed multiple times because of me. We were supposed to record a week ago. I had a work issue, couldn't record. And then we had planned I was going to go over Lloyd's house and record this live. And I got sick last week. And then we were going to do it online like 2 days later or 3 days later, thinking I'll be fine by then. And I was worse. So we've regrouped to get together. But the problem is I never watched the movie a second time. It was my only viewing of this movie. Now, I think that I could get us through this, as I usually do, but Lloyd, because he's such a fan of this film, spoiler right off the bat, is going to do the John job today and kind of walk us through this movie, and I'll jump in if you forget anything, but...
Well, yeah. I'll do my best. But you have a tendency to keep it rolling, so it'll work out.
I think I remember the ins and outs of what happens here, but yeah, we'll get you started and then we'll get rolling. So yes, the 50th anniversary, our 400th episode anniversary. It's not our 50th anniversary. It's 50th anniversary of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, 1975 to 2025. Our 400th episode.
It's
coming
not
right
too long after your 50th anniversary,
no.
to be honest.
No, my birthday was a couple weeks ago, so we're old as fuck over here.
Yeah.
AF. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Let's get into it.
I am ready to fucking party.
I guess we're gonna party.
Fuck yeah!
All right, Manster, tell me all about this thing.
So, you never saw this before, right? This was your very first viewing ever of the movie.
First time. At 50 years old. First time.
Damn. I obviously did not see it in the theaters as I was not even 10 years old yet. But I had seen it, growing up, teenager or whatever, and always really liked it and bought the movie. I have a special, it's still just a DVD, I believe, but a really good some anniversary version that comes with a book and postcards and a fucking poster and all kinds of cool stuff. I had a deck of cards, not with naked asses on them.
No titties on it?
No titties. No, just a deck. But it's got Jack's face on the outside of every card. With the hat, with the little black cap.
I don't think mine has a poster or anything, but I think I have the same set. It's a DVD because I had bought it years ago. I used to go to Big Lots all the time to pick up movies for our sponsorship at Connecticut called Classics, $3 horror movies. And if there was stuff I wanted, I'd pick it up. And one of those times they had like probably like maybe 30th anniversary edition of One Flew Over. And, I'd always wanted to see it. And I put it on my DVD rack. And then when we went to do this episode, I had to unwrap it. And I've owned that thing for like 8 years. I had to unwrap it.
Nice. All right. So, yeah, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, released on November 19th, 1975. just about a week after my birthday of that year.
That's right. Your birthday's in 2 days, buddy. We're gonna do it up, Running Man style. But yeah,
yeah, we're gonna Running Man it up. I have that freaking book. I really wanted to reread it, but I have the original, paperback of the Bachman books, and I don't even want to touch that thing. It's like glorious over there.
Yeah, you don't want to crack that thing open.
And crack that open. So I'm gonna have to buy it or something.
Yeah, well, when these movies come out, they do all those mass market versions. Yeah,
I haven't read the book in probably 35 years, 40 years, whatever.
Yeah, it may be my favorite Stephen King story. I read it 2 or 3 times, but it has been a long time. And it's kind of always been the reason that I like but don't love the Schwarzenegger version is because it's such a, in the actual version itself, the Bachman book version, he's got to run across the country and people are looking for him. And then the Schwarzenegger one is essentially just like this game show and a
game show.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's good anyway. All right. So, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. One flew east, one flew west, one flew over the cuckoo's nest. Directed by, I'm going to try to say it correctly, Milos Forman.
Yep.
I'm going to do that every time. He's a Czech-American film director. He did Cuckoo's Nest, Hair, Amadeus, which he won an Oscar, Parrot, The People versus Larry Flint, Man on the Moon. A lot of well-regarded films. As a matter of fact, every one of his American-made films, because he did make a few of them before, he started making films in America. Every single one of his films has been nominated for awards. Not every one Academy, but every one has been nominated for some kind of awards. And I think all of them won the Academy Awards. Immigrated to the U.S. in 1968. He moved to Warren, Connecticut in 1979, where he lived until he died. He died in Danbury Hospital in 2018.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Yeah. Produced by Paul Zantz. He was a record company exec for Fantasy Records.
Saul Zantz.
What did I say?
Paul. But this is important because...
did I say Paul? Really?
I think you did. I could have misheard, but I think you did. This is the guy that John Fogerty fucking hates.
Yeah, absolutely.
He actually has that song on the Centerfield album, Vance Can't Dance. It's about this guy. Yeah, a whole history of suing each other back and forth and everything. Yeah, same dude.
Yeah, a tiny bit of history on that is in 1967, he and some partners of his purchased the independent jazz label Fantasy Records. Had a lot of good jazz stuff, and basically, that label skyrocketed with the signing of the band Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah.
And, of course, like you said, John Fogerty, and he got major issues, let's just say. But the profits...
I just want to say this real quick. He sued John Fogerty when John Fogerty was a solo artist for the song The Old Man Down the Road. And he sued John Fogerty because he said that John Fogerty plagiarized his own song, Run Through the Jungle, which John Fogerty also wrote, but John Fogerty didn't own any of the Creedence stuff at that point. Right. Yeah, it's insane.
It's crazy. John Fogerty's good. Never saw the him or Creedence, but really good.
Yeah.
So the profits from this record company basically allowed him to become a film producer. And he is known for producing, your literary kind of highfalutin films that were, basically uncommercial. They're not like blockbuster summer hits, but he has won the Academy Award 3 times for Best Picture. One for Cuckoo, one for Amadeus, and one for The English Patient.
Oh, okay.
So the producer of the movie is Michael Douglas. You know him. He's an actor. He's a producer. He's the son of Kirk. As a producer, I won't really get into his acting credits, but as a producer, Michael Douglas has done Cuckoo's Nest, China Syndrome, Romancing the Stone, Face Off, Face Off.
I'm going to take his face off.
Traffic, Ant-Man, Endgame, a lot more too. The screenplay is by Lawrence Haubin and Bo Goldman. Now, Lawrence Haubin, as far as I can tell, this is what he did. So there's not a whole lot of other stuff you can find on him. But Bo Goldman, who was his writing partner there, was Cuckoo's Nest, The Rose, Little Nikita, Scent of a Woman, Meet Joe Black, and some other stuff. He's definitely more well known. The film itself has won the Grand Slam, what they call the Grand Slam in the Academy Awards. You know what the Grand Slam is?
I'm going to assume all 5, like Best Picture, Actor. Well, no, because you tell me.
You got it. Yeah, Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Adapted Screenplay.
Oh, okay. All
or written writer.
Yes.
It was also nominated for 4 other awards. So the night of those awards, they lost their first 4 entries. So they were like, fuck, we're not going to win anything. So they lost Best Supporting Actor in Brad Dourif, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, and Best Original Score. So they were 0 for 4 at that point.
Comeback kids.
Yeah, right. So there were 3 other movies in history that have won this Grand Slam. Can you think of any? Do you know any of them? You definitely know one.
Yeah, I feel like one is Silence of the Lambs. That didn't win
That's
Best
correct.
Picture. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
That's all I can think of.
And the first one was 40 years prior. It Happened One Night, 1934. I don't think you or I have ever seen that movie, but I've heard of it. So this was based on the novel One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which I recently purchased. So, and I have started to read it, and I'll tell you, I'm not very far in, but there is a major difference. So that One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest book is by Ken Kesey. Now, the inspiration came to Kesey while he was working at a veterans hospital, where he spent a lot of time talking to the what they call mental patients. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that harkens back to the 70s and the 60s, because the book is from the 62.
Yeah.
So there's terminology. And he believed the patients were not insane, but basically pushed out by society, who didn't understand the peculiar behaviors back then. I think he might have also been a little insane, but no. So during this period, I found this pretty interesting. Kesey was involved in something called Project MK Ultra. Ever hear of this?
It actually sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah. So it is an illegal human experimentation program run by the CIA to develop procedures and identify drugs like LSD and mescaline, drugs that would be used during interrogations to weaken individuals and force confessions through brainwashing and psychological torture.
Oh, Jesus.
This is our country. This is our government.
Well, this is also very indicative of the time and period in history when we lobotomize people. We'll get to that.
Correct. Yeah. So the Project MK Ultra began in 1953 and ran until 1973. So the author of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Ken Kesey, was involved in that program.
Jesus.
Yeah, crazy, right? All right. So the differences from the book and the film, I'm not going to get into a lot. I'm just going to go very brief. The book is from the perspective of the Chief Bromden with the broom. In the film, if you've watched it, it's about McMurphy mostly. It's him and his escapades and how he affects the people in the institution. I have read the book. Everything's from it gets right away into that, and right away it gets into Nurse Ratched. So I'll tell you about the production. So in 1962, the year the book came out, Kirk Douglas's company, Joel Productions, acquired the rights to make a Broadway stage and film adaptations. So the play ran, starring Kirk as Randall McMurphy, from November 13th, 1963.
Happy birthday, Manster.
Right? Few years before I was born, but on my birthday until January 25th, of 64. So not a long run. But the play itself has also had a number of revivals, including off-Broadway. And Danny DeVito played the same role when it was first out. Then Douglas tried like hell to get funding for a film version. Like that, he really, really wanted to do this. And he would play McMurphy again. And at the time, he reached out to Milos Forman, who was interested in directing it. So Kirk Douglas said, all right, I'm going to send you the book. I want you to read it, and then we'll talk, what your ideas are. Foreman waited, but he never got it. The book never came, and he basically got frustrated that Michael Douglas just wasn't following through. And Michael Douglas was like waiting to hear back for him.
Kirk.
He was upset.
Kirk.
I'm sorry, Kirk.
Yeah.
Kirk.
Michael Douglas came in after. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kirk was waiting to hear back from Foreman, but he never did. So he thought, he's just the dickhead. He's not interested, whatever. So 10 years go by. 10 years go by. And Kirk Douglas is getting older. He's unable to find a studio willing to make the film that he wants to make. So his son Michael says, hey, let me take over and let me get this thing done. So that happens. So Michael goes, and guess who he contacts?
Jack.
Milos Forman. Without knowing that he already went down that path.
Yeah, because he saw one of his foreign movies, right? And said, this guy has the sensibilities. Yeah, right.
Exactly. So they got together, and it basically turns out that Kirk Douglas did send the novel through the mail, but it was confiscated by the Czech customs due to political, thought it caused political unrest and whatever. It was a weird time back in those days.
Fucking commies, man. I don't know if they were commies.
Never informed anybody that anybody took anything, so everyone's got a hair across their ass because of it. By the time Michael took over and got this thing rolling, Kirk was obviously too old to play McMurphy. So little about the filming. The filming took place from January to April of 1975 in the Oregon State Mental Hospital, also at Depot Bay, Oregon, which is the fishing harbor.
Yep.
Which, by the way, I don't know I'm sure she's not in your cast list, but do you know Angelica Houston's in the movie?
Well, she was Jack Nicholson's girlfriend, right? So
at the time, yeah.
Yeah.
So she's in the scene where the boat is coming back to harbor, and she's one of those two ladies standing up on the up on the pier. And also Fort Bragg, California, I guess, is where the actual fishing scene was taking place. And they used, Milos used a lot of cameras, like simultaneously. He wanted to just capture everyone's reactions, make it very authentic. The actors actually lived in the facility. So the facility that the book was written and where it was filmed was all one and the same, the actual facility. At first, the Oregon State Hospital didn't want them to film there. So they went and looked and they said, well, we can do it in this California place, but they're going to get all the credit and they're going to blah, blah, blah. So Oregon finally agreed. They acquiesced, as you might say.
I wouldn't say that, but I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. All the actors in the movie, they actually lived in the facility for, I don't really know, like a month or so. And they were assigned patients to just be with and sort of understand their lifestyle and their quirks and just emulate their characteristics. So it was an actual functioning institution at the time. There was a wing. It was the lower level that was open. It was not being used for anything. So that's where they shot. And they used actual patients as staff, like electricians, the art department, carpenters, stuff like that. Like real patients were paid and worked on the film. And other patients were actually in the film. They were extras, which when you see them going for shock therapy. It's like all those people down there.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. A lot of people in the halls and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. And one more thing before we get into the cast. I don't know how far in, but during the production, Nicholson stopped talking to Milos Forman due to artistic differences, the way he thought McMurphy affected the other patients versus the patients already being sort of rebellious before he got there. Turned out to be Nicholson was right, but they would not talk. And they basically conversed through one of the multiple cinematographers involved, Bill Butler.
Well, he still won the award, so.
Yep. Everyone wins.
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, I could tell you a lot more. I read a lot about it, but I'd like to hear the cast.
Allow myself to introduce myself.
All right, so here's your cast for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Jack Nicholson plays R.P. McMurphy, Randall McMurphy. We mentioned it. He won the Best Actor for this. You know him from Wolf, a film we did over on The Insider last summer. Batman, a film we did on The Insider few years ago.
That film, I forgot everything that happened. You
What?
walked me through that episode.
The Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, I forget.
He's also in The Departed, if you remember The Departed. Louise Fletcher plays Nurse Ratched. Ratched. I always thought it was Ratchet. It's Ratched.
It's got to be a cross between wretched and ratchet. It has to be.
It definitely sounds like it, because I've never heard that name before. She won the Best Actress Award, and this is all at the 48th Oscars in 1976, by the way. She was also in Virtuosity in the 90s, Firestarter with Drew Barrymore, Stephen King film, and The Exorcist 2, The Heretic, the very hated one. Will Sampson plays Chief. He died in 1987. He died of some form of like disease that he had that affected like his skin and bones. It was kind of a genetic hereditary thing. But besides this, he was in Firewalker with Chuck Norris. He was in The Outlaw Josie Wales with Clint Eastwood, and a film we did a couple years ago, Manster, 2 years ago exactly, Orca. He was in Orca.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's one of the guys on the ship.
Man.
Brad Dourif plays Billy Bibbit. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He did not win. Billy Bibbit is a young guy. Brad Dourif is super young in this. Very nervous, a stutterer, but interesting, his story arc amongst all of theirs. Of course, we just talked about him last month in All Horror October, The Exorcist 3. He was great on the television show Deadwood, and he is known as Grima Wormtongue from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Sidney Lassick plays Charlie Cheswick, which sounds like it sounds like a kid. It sounds like Chuck E. Cheese. Charlie, come on down to Charlie Cheswick's and get some pizza and sneeze on an adult and get him sick. Years ago, I want to tell a story real fast. Years ago, Lindsay and I were invited to good friends of ours' kid's birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese, like on a Saturday that I had off, and we had to go there. The kids are like nephews and nieces to us. And I just remember the both of us being like, I don't want to go into that fucking place because it's just going to be a fucking germ zone. And we both like,
that's it.
Vitamin C'd it up, and like, we're like slathering like probably like hand sanitizer on our face and breathing it in. We got out okay.
An incubator for every freaking childhood little disease and stuff.
Chuck E. Cheese is just a festering fucking oven of kids' diseases and pizza and rats.
Did you hear about Sidney Lassick's breakdown on the set?
No.
Yeah, he had a sort of a mental breakdown because he's one of those guys, I guess, he stays in character off camera.
Okay.
And that character was very high strung, so.
Yeah, that's his whole thing, is he's like wound up.
In one other, I'll tell you before you go on, Louise Fletcher, who played Nurse Ratched, she had her character, and we'll get into it. So she thought that she was like really not ostracized, but just an outsider from all these men and patients, and like she was evil, right? And so at one point during the shoot, she actually ripped her clothes off. She had a dress, I guess. She ripped her dress off to show the men that she was a real woman and not just this evil nurse character.
Jesus Christ.
Like naked ripped her fucking dress off.
No, it was
just
the 70s.
Prove she's a woman.
It's the 70s.
Yeah.
Big old bush under there too, I bet.
Probably a big old bush. I didn't see it, but you know.
Sidney Lassick was in 1941. He was in Carrie, and I was trying to put my finger on who this guy was. And then when I read it, it hit me. He's an alligator. He's the guy, the pet shop owner that's like, I can't remember if he's stealing animals and killing them. He's in the beginning of Alligator. Christopher Lloyd plays Max Tabor, who we are going to learn in this movie, it's a plot point, is one of the only 3 people that are actually committed by the government or the state, federally committed to this. Everybody else is a volunteer. We'll get to that. Of course, we know him from the television show Taxi as Reverend Jim Ignatowski, Back to the Future trilogy, Doc Brown, and Star Trek 3 as the evil Klingon. Danny DeVito plays Martini. If you think it's weird seeing young Brad Dourif, it's even weirder seeing young Danny DeVito. Martini is very kind of childlike, almost doesn't speak in full sentences, but kind of has this mischievous, impish look on his face at all times. You also know him from the television show Taxi, where he played, what was his name? Louis De Palma.
Louis.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Frank Reynolds, one of my heroes. And Romancing the Stone. He is a longtime co-worker, co-producer. He's done a lot of stuff with Michael Douglas. They've been friends for a long time. And then the last one I'll mention, at least here, is Vincent Schiavelli. He plays Fredrickson, and you know him if you know him if you know him. He passed away a few years ago, but he was in Batman Returns as the leader of the Penguins gang. He was like the organ grinder. He was in Ghost, the subway ghost, I believe, and probably most notoriously, he was the teacher in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. One of the teachers, but you know.
Mr. Vargas.
Yeah, Mr. Vargas. Very gangly looking guy.
And also the teacher in Better Off Dead that wants to date John Cusack's girlfriend.
That's right. I did not write the actor's name down, but I thought this was an interesting note that I read later after I did the cast list. But the guy that plays the character whose wife and him are having problems, what was that character's name? Do you remember it, Lloyd?
Dale Harding.
Dale Harding. Dale Harding died a year after this movie came out. On set, one of the doctors who was working for the movie production realized that he was exhibiting symptoms of blood cancer.
I will tell leukemia.
Leukemia. And he fucking had leukemia. And he passed away from leukemia a year later.
And they made him finish the movie because he didn't want them to feel sorry for him and get someone else. He wanted to keep doing the movie even though he was sick. And the doctor who diagnosed him was the actor Dean Brooks, who plays Dr. Spivey, the head doctor of the facility.
He was a real doctor.
Yeah, he was a real doctor.
I read that, yes.
He also played the character that he was in real life. He played that person. He's a physician and actor. He was the superintendent of the Oregon State Hospital from 55 to 82, and he was a big advocate, probably a major reason now, for understanding and treating mental illness with respect and not to criminalize mental illness. So he was a big advocate for that.
Well, it's unfortunate what happened to that gentleman, but he gives a good performance in this movie. And yeah, it's just one of those odd stories that you hear. All right, Manster, bring us in. What's happening when we start off in this film?
McMurphy arrives. Basically, not a lot happens before that, but in 1963, in Oregon, Randall P. Patrick McMurphy, he arrives to this facility. He's a rebellious, he's charismatic. He's basically being transferred from some kind of prison work farm. And this is what I really hate this part of it. He's sitting there talking with Spivey, and it's a great conversation. And you see what's going on behind McMurphy's head, right? And you see the doctor just sort of understanding him. But he talks about the reason he's there, why he was in prison in the first place.
Yeah.
It was a sexual assault of a 15-year-old girl who was going on 30.
Yeah. So he betrays himself in this conversation because it starts off with, well, you were arrested for statutory rape. And he goes, she was 15 going on 30. But then he says, but she told me she was 18. So for 1/2 minute, you just think, oh, okay, well, people have been caught up in this before. This is what happened. But then he goes immediately to but if you had that,
red beaver in your face,
that red 15-year-old beaver in your face, you wouldn't be able to say no either. And then he just immediately doubles down on the fact that he's a fucking gross human being. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish they would have had something different, but you have to realize it's 1963.
It is 1963.
I'm not advocating that that's okay. I'm just saying it's 1963.
I know what you're saying. Things were different. People did different things at a different time. But that's one of my, I guess, things I look at with this movie is, and we'll get into it, but, this movie has always been described to me, or at least from stuff I've read, from stuff I've heard people say, as being about this overbearing Nurse Ratched who runs this place with an iron fist and is cruel to all these guys. And then McMurphy comes along, and he's kind of a hero to all of them. He teaches them all how to live better, and he challenges Nurse Ratched's authority. And he's kind of like the unsung hero, and I don't necessarily see it that way. We'll get into it. But, so yeah, they have this discussion, and he's trying to scam the government, or, the federal prison system, because he doesn't want to be in this work farm anymore. Like, work farms were prisons where you worked all day long. That's gotta suck. Not only, I know people in prison have jobs, but I think they probably spend most of their day in their cell and then go to their job for a couple hours a week. I think a work farm is like, 8 to 5.
Yeah, like you see in the movies, and you're like, you're bashing rocks.
Yeah, you're baling hay all day long, and then you got to go into a cell and all that stuff. So he doesn't want to do that. So his idea is he's going to go to this place, and he is going to try to convince them that he is not of his right mind. So that way he can kind of be, I guess, worked over from prison to this facility. We meet all of the people around him, Manster, and we get, an idea. These guys kind of sit around, they play cards, they get into, little arguments here and there.
You want me to go through?
Go through them. Just go through them.
Yeah, so you got Billy Bibbit. He's a nervous, basically stuttering young man. You've got Charlie Cheswick, wispy hair. He's a man pretty much disposed to childish fits of temper.
Yeah.
You've got Martini, who is basically also kind of childish but delusional. You've got Dale Harding, who's a high-strung but well-educated and paranoid, kind of like the leader at that time. Then you've got Max Tabor. You don't get a lot from him, but he's basically just belligerent and profane. And you've got Jim Seafelt, he's like the least of all the characters that is like recognized by personality. He's the guy that I guess gave Max Tabor his drugs at some point.
Is he the long-haired guy?
No.
Okay, there's the long-haired guy with the black beard.
Yeah, that is Scanlon.
Okay, Scanlon, yeah.
Scanlon. And then you've got Chief Bromden, who's a silent, deaf, mute, what they call back then anyway, American Indian. Those are the main players. And then you got the guy from The Hills Have Eyes.
That's right. Michael Berryman is just there. He never says a word.
Yeah,
never says a word
because he has been lobotomized. You can see them. You can see the scars on his head.
Yeah. Yeah, because they have groups with Nurse Ratched where they talk about their problems and, we kind of get into their daily lives. But those guys who are able to, at the very least, communicate are all together. And then there's guys that they kind of refer to several times, like Michael Berryman, that are off like in this separate section of the wing that are kind of far gone.
Yeah, they're not included in any of the therapy sessions. They're la la land. They're dancing around. They're, pushing a broom, whatever they're doing. But this is where we meet Nurse Ratched. She controls the wing. She controls every move. She's a calm, domineering, passive aggressive Nurse Ratched. She maintains order. She's got a rigid schedule, oppressive rules, and she uses this very manipulative group therapy sessions where she tells them she's helping them, but she's encouraging them to expose and attack each other's weaknesses. That's what's happening here.
Do you think
she's
so?
She's not helping them at all.
I'm so confused by this movie, and I'm confused by what it might mean to me because honestly, as I'm watching this, look, and to get a little further out into like regular life, like I manage people at a job.
Yeah.
So I have to, even if I don't necessarily like it, I have to enforce rules that maybe I don't agree with. Now, I understand. I'm not talking about mental health and I'm not talking about, but there's a lot of this movie where I feel like Nurse Ratched overall in pop culture maybe gets a bad rap. Like, the stuff that happens with Billy Bibbit at the end, notwithstanding, that's not cool. But I don't know. I just felt like this is a woman in a lot of instances that is just trying to do her job and keep this place running smoothly. And then you have this guy that comes in that is starting to invoke chaos and challenge all of her rules. And then I'm going to even go more controversial because, I'm not super familiar with Louise Fletcher. So, hearing all this stuff about Nurse Ratched, I expected like this very harsh woman. She's kind of hot. She's not a bad looking woman. She's very, very 60s with that like kind of weird hairdo, but like she's got a nice face. I was like,
she's got a look.
I'm not hating it.
I will tell you that there are scenes I think that were even filmed that were obviously cut, or maybe they were written. But at the end, when something very violent happens between Randall McMurphy and her, where he was supposed to be on top of her fucking her.
Oh, okay.
So there was supposed to be a sort of sexual tension there.
Okay.
I will tell you something from her perspective, from the actor, Louise Fletcher. Her perspective on the character and what she was doing was that Ratched herself was not evil, but she was an instrument of evil. And that's how she played it.
I get it because, like, I work a job where I have to sometimes, evil's a tough term, but I have to hold people accountable and worry about how it's going to affect the bottom line and stuff. And again, I'm not trying to make this like a personal thing. It's apples and oranges. Like, I'm not running a mental institution in the 60s, but like, I just feel like after watching this movie that maybe Nurse Ratched is not the fucking character that I've been promised all these years. And McMurphy is certainly no hero, but okay.
Let me just say, the movie blurs the lines of hero and villain very well.
Certainly. But people always use, like, Nurse Ratched is always used as a, you're talking about someone like a boss you don't like, or you go to a hospital and there's a nurse who's maybe not like giving into you for what you want. And, Nurse Ratched, or that's what I've always heard. And then I watch this movie and I'm like, she's not necessarily the whole problem.
No, she's not the whole problem. But the thing about her is she's so, she demands control. All right. Like her therapy sessions with the patients. She's like in the very first one, I think, is when she's talking about Harding and his problems with his wife, right? So she is humiliating Harding in front of all these other patients, causing this whole big ruckus, and they're calling him a fag. They're using different terms back then, and they're doing those funny little things with their faces. And she's causing all these other patients to yell and degrade Harding, all right? Just so that she could control the situation and control everyone. And then when you look at her, they show her on camera after that scene, and she just got this fucking smug ass look like, yes, this is what I've caused. You don't have that smug look by giving your people control. Rules that you may not want to enforce. You don't have that smug look afterwards.
Yeah.
She's got that smug look.
See, I don't know. I mean, maybe I missed the look, or maybe if I saw it, I don't remember it.
Very good. That's why she won an Oscar.
But I thought that Harding wanted to talk about his issues with his wife. And the real problem is that you're in a room full of people that are, at this point, I don't want to say the maturity level isn't there, but they're all obviously problematic. They all have an issue.
Yes.
Right? And then it goes one level further, and I'm skipping ahead, but that's okay, because I alluded to it before. It goes one level further a little bit later when we find out that 98% of these people are all volunteers there. Mm-hmm. Like they were not put in this place. They committed themselves in this place and can leave whenever they want to. So I think that goes to, if Nurse Ratched is that bad and they can just go, I'm going to get out of here, but they choose not to because they're trying to get to a point in their therapy that they feel like Billy Bibbit says it at one point, and the chief says it at one point when McMurphy is like, let's skip off to Canada. He says, I'm not ready yet.
Right. He says, "You're much bigger than me."
Right. And
Yeah.
Billy says, I'm not ready yet at one point to leave.
Yeah.
Like he says, I haven't finished my work yet.
Yep.
So, okay, Master, we're obviously talking in kind of broad strokes through this thing.
Yeah.
So give us some examples of what McMurphy kind of brings to the table.
What happened? So yeah, after the initial humiliating therapy session, you get some hijinks, you get some basketball, you see the people kind of like outside of that in the yard interacting with each other. And you get some hijinks, some McMurphy hijinks, and he tries to have the Chief put his arms up and down and gets on the shoulder of the other. There's another guy in there who's tall, but he's egging on the Chief, and he's just trying to get some reaction because Chief, as far as we know, is deaf and mute.
Right.
All right. But he's always observing. And then there's also, let's see what else they do. They do some card playing, right? And some cigarettes. So McMurphy obviously is the smartest guy in the room. He can manipulate them as far as winning their cigarettes and stuff like that, which he does. So this is sort of where like the battle of wills really starts rooting between McMurphy and Nurse Ratched.
Yes. So yeah, he asked Nurse Ratched if the guys can all watch the World Series, and he tries to use like some leveraging on her, like, hey, even when I was in the clink, we got to watch the World Series. Now this does become partially a battle of wills between the two of them because she's like, well, we can't do that because everything has been kind of planned out to a certain degree. Now that is actually a good answer from somebody in her position, but at the same time, maybe it's a bullshit answer because she just doesn't want to, and as the word I said I wouldn't use earlier, acquiesce to his demands or wants. So right. That's where we're starting to see kind of the battle of the wills here. She doesn't do it. They put up a vote a couple times.
They get three, him and two other guys maybe.
Right. He eventually gets more to do it, but then she uses the fact that right. like
that happens later.
Right, it happens later, but eventually she does get him to vote again. Everybody in the group goes for it because at that point they're all starting to go in with McMurphy, and she pulls the card of, well, not all of the nonverbal patients have voted, and we're not going to do this. There is also a scene a little bit earlier, I think, or a little bit earlier in the movie where McMurphy says, we should just throw this hydrotherapy water fountain.
Yeah,
right?
That happens after the first World Series vote and before the second one.
Okay, well, tell us about that, Manster.
Yeah, just like you said, so later on after that vote was turned down, they're in, I don't know where they are. What the hell is like the shower room or something?
They're in the shower
shower, and they're playing Monopoly on top of a tub or whatever. It's a little weird, but some guys are over there playing Monopoly, and they get to arguing again. And I think McMurphy's got that. What'd you call it? Hydrotherapy.
It looks like a giant like drinking fountain. Yeah. But it's giant and it's got different spigots on it.
Yeah, it's got spigots and hoses and stuff. So he takes one of the hoses like you might do at your kitchen sink and point it at your kids and spray them or whatever. But this is kind of like a jet stream that he sprays, and he sprays them all and gets them all to just shut up because they're making a ruckus. And then he says something like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fuck that Nurse Ratched. I'm gonna go watch the game. I'm gonna break out of here and go watch the game in a bar down the street." And they're all like, "Yeah, how are you going to do that?" So he's like, "I'm going to lift up this marble hydrotherapy and throw it out the window and then just like escape that way." And do they bet? I think they bet whether he can do it or not, something like that.
He certainly can't do it.
And he tries like hell. Oh my God, the veins on his neck are just sticking out, and he gives it 2 good tries, and he doesn't do it. But at the end, he walks out, and they're kind of like, he couldn't do it. And he goes, "Yeah, well, at least I tried, goddammit. At least I did that."
Right.
Yeah. And then basically, it's the next day, and they're doing another vote.
Right. They do the next vote, and she kind of stymies them again. Do they win that vote though?
So he gets all the guys in the group, And then they're like, well, that's only half. You got 9, but there's 18 votes. So he goes around to all the outskirts and he gets Chief to vote. He literally gets Chief to lift his hand up, and he's like, look, Chief voted. That counts. She's like, nope, vote's already closed.
Right. The session ended, so
yeah,
vote is done. Yeah, she got him on a technicality.
Yeah,
again,
she got him on technicality. Yeah.
Again, this is the evil of Nurse Ratched. She got him on a technicality. We'll get there. We'll get there. So, but it's important to mention that amongst all this stuff happening there is like some kind of, like, we see that the Chief seems to like McMurphy, even though he can't hear him or talk to him. He
senses a spark in him that he what's the word? He's not jealous, but he wishes he had.
Right. He plays basketball with him at one point, or at least gets as close to playing basketball, as he's going to. And, he votes. So he's kind of moving into that.
After she says, no TV, you're not going to watch the World Series, McMurphy goes over to where the TV is. There's a little couch. And he sits there, just this obviously blank TV, and he starts announcing the game. And I'm nowhere as near as good as him. But he's like, Koufax is on the mound, and he's got him in. He strikes him out. Oh, no. And then the next guy gets a hit, and he's like riling up. Like all the other patients are like, feel like they're actually listening to a real World Series game. So he's giving them this joy of life that they just don't get while they're in this place. And Nurse Ratched kept that away from them. And then again, she's like, stop, Mr. McMurphy. You have to stop. Like, you're doing something that I can't control. You need to stop it. And he's doing nothing but out of the love in his heart to help these guys and to give them joy.
But do you think he's doing it for that reason?
Yeah, I do.
I think he's super selfish. I don't think
he's absolutely selfish. 100%.
He's not doing anything for these guys in this movie.
He's still sharing with these guys. Yeah, he is.
Okay. Well, I think he's being himself. And if him being himself means that, they kind of get to live through that and experience a joie de vivre or whatever it's called, as the French would say, or as I mispronounced it. But I don't think he's doing it for them. He wants to watch the World Series.
Yeah, absolutely.
If none of them were there, he'd want to watch the World Series.
Yeah.
Like, that's my problem.
He wouldn't sit there and announce it to himself, though.
But he maybe would, because he's trying to convince these people that he is insane. So I think there's a lot of like exterior motives or ulterior motives with the McMurphy character. All right, let's get to the fishing trip. So the next day, he manages to kind of escape over the chain link fence.
Yeah.
Because they're going to go on an outing. And I think the outing, do they say what it is? Is it like...
No, we don't even... I don't even know if we know they're going on an outing, but they're all playing basketball. The orderlies are like got their backs turned to him, and they're missing like layups left and right.
Right.
And so that's when he gets Chief to sort of like push him up over the top of the fence. And then he just finds the bus, because it's a little confusing. Like, where is he going? Like, is he just going to escape? No, he finds a bus and he takes them. They're all supposed to be going on some sort of sanctioned field trip somewhere, but they all get in the bus and he commandeers the bus and takes off. Instead of escaping, where he could have just left and said, I'm out of here, he doesn't. He gets the bus and he gets the whole crew of guys, and they go on a fishing trip.
Well, before they go on a fishing trip, they pick up Candy.
Yes, they pick up Candy. So Candy is his friend/girlfriend.
I think this is why you have an affinity with McMurphy. I think that's why you're defending him. Because you both date a woman named Candy. Yeah, he picks Candy up, and this Candy, not your Candy, seems like she's just like kind of, I don't know, I'm going to use the word floozy, right? Like, she just seems like Randall, and just goes along with whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
So he takes them out on the boat. And again, we get another one of these scenes where, everybody seems to be having a great time. He's down in the bowels of the boat, banging away at Candy. And
I don't think he got that far. He didn't even take his clothes off yet.
He didn't. But
I love the scene where he gets the charter of the boat and the guy comes over. He's like, well, what are you doing? He goes, well, we chartered this boat. We're from the mental institute. He goes, yeah, well, who are you? She goes, well, this is Dr. Tabor. This is Dr.
Martini.
Scanlon. And it's so funny because even though we know all these guys are, pardon my language, crazy, and they all look crazy, everyone that he introduces as a doctor, they look like they're doctors, right? Just because he says, that's Dr. Scanlon, and he looks over, he's got the long, scraggly beard, and he's got that look, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's definitely Dr. Scanlon.
Yeah.
And he introduces them all, except for Harding. He doesn't call doctor. He said, that's Mr. Harding.
That's a repeated joke in this, because Harding was kind of like the de facto leader, like you said, before McMurphy came around. And Harding wasn't crazy about McMurphy to begin with. So, like, there's this repeated kind of joke that happens a few times in the movie where McMurphy kind of purposely pushes Harding off to the side and or disrespects him on purpose. I liked when they went back to that. But yeah, they go out, they go fishing, they end up doing a donut in a boat, like for a while. And
Cheswick couldn't keep it straight or whatever. Harding took over. I don't know.
But they eventually get caught by the Coast Guard and brought back into shore.
Yeah.
And we don't really see, like, I expected there to be a scene where they come back and they get dressed down or McMurphy gets dressed down. We don't see that. But what I thought was interesting is we see, like, the powwow of the actual doctors and Nurse Ratched discussing, like, what they think they should do with him. And they're all very clear about, like, it seems to us like he is just a sane prisoner who doesn't want to go back to work prison. But Nurse Ratched is like, keep him with me. Now, this is a part.
I haven't broken him yet. I need to break him.
She doesn't say that, but this is where I do see Nurse Ratched's, kind of deviousness pop through a little bit, because I think she at this point, knows that he's not crazy as well.
Yeah.
But she now has like a personal mission to like kind of see this through with him. He also learned something from the orderlies, Manster, that he did not seem to know, which I found really weird. I would think I'm not saying Murphy is a genius, but like, I think a guy who would have a plan to have a prison, send him over to essentially an insane asylum would know that when you go to the insane asylum, Manster, what happens at that point?
Yeah. So, you're at the mercy of the doctors, basically, as to whether, when you're committed, whether you're, able to go, whether you're sane enough to leave at that point. He thought, he could do some time and get out. That's not how it works there.
No.
And he also learns, actually the next day at the next therapy, we already mentioned this, but once he learns this, I guess they're in the pool, they're all having fun doing pool stuff. And then next day at group therapy, I forget, you must have the list of all the patients who are committed and who aren't.
I don't have the list of everybody, but the ones that were committed for sure are McMurphy and Tabor. And there's one other, and it might have been that other guy, the big guy who's not chief, the other big guy.
Yeah.
It might have been him.
Okay. Yeah. So that happens the next day, and this is the therapy session, I think, where once he learns that, things start getting really out of control. There's a great big upset. Cheswick wants his cigarettes back because he stands up for himself. He stands up for himself. He says, I want my cigarettes, but he's got that. He's just so high strung.
I wanted to throw him through a window. I don't want to sound like a person that would, I know this guy has some issues, but this scene is so grating with the way he's just like whining like a little kid. It's a hard scene.
Yeah, it's a hard scene. It might be this session too, where Nurse Ratched talks about Billy's problems when he, why he's there and the girl that he said he wanted to marry.
Yeah.
So she's harping on Billy quite a bit. She knows Billy's mother. They're old friends. And Cheswick actually sticks up for him, says, Miss Ratchet, why are you picking on Billy? Why can't you just leave this alone? We don't need to discuss this. And I don't know if that maybe leads into the cigarette issue that he has, something like that.
It all ramps up to the point where
it just everything boils over. And there's a big fight.
Right. Cheswick freaks out. The orderlies come in. McMurphy and the chief get into a fight with the orderlies. It's a knockdown drag out, and Cheswick, McMurphy, and the chief end up being brought upstairs to the ward, where the real folks are kept. The real folks are kept. And they bring Cheswick in, they drag him in, kicking and screaming into this room.
Kicking and screaming, yep.
And we see Chief and McMurphy on this bench waiting to find out where they're going. And what happens with Chief, Manster?
So, like you said, Cheswick is taken away, kicking and screaming, goes into some room. We don't see what happens. But we do see him come out. In the meantime, McMurphy just hands Chief a stick of juicy fruit gum.
Yeah.
And they're sitting side by side on this little bench, and Chief takes the gum and he unwraps it, puts it in his mouth, and he goes, "Thank you."
Yeah, I think
I love McMurphy's reaction. First he's like, he looks at him, he does that. He looks up in the air, he's like, "Damn, you fooled him, Chief."
Yeah.
So he absolutely loves that. So it turns out he is not deaf and mute. He has pretended for years to be deaf and mute. So McMurphy just starts bonding with them. They talk a little bit, and they talk about escaping to Canada.
Yeah, they're going to leave together and go to Canada at some point eventually. So we find out what the room is they're being brought into. We don't see Cheswick, or we don't see the chief suffer this, but they bring McMurphy in, and he is being super nonchalant because I think he thinks all they're going to do is tie him to a bed for a few hours.
Yeah.
And as they're doing all the prep for him, and they're being straight with him, like they put this stuff on his temples.
When you get wheeled into a room and there's like 10 doctors and nurses in there, something is fucking going down.
Right, but this is his cockiness of this character again.
Yeah, I guess.
Gets brought in there. They start lubing his temples up, and he's like, "What is that?" And they're like, "Conductant."
Just the word conductant. You're like, whoa.
And
but
then
he doesn't really acknowledge that.
He doesn't acknowledge that, but then when they put the bit in his mouth, what's this for? So you don't bite your tongue off.
Yeah.
I think we know. Just, look, it's one of those like American history kind of like thinly hidden secrets, lobotomies, shock treatment in these kind of places. And this is what they're doing. They're giving him shock treatment, and fuck, man, does it look painful. Like two
and
conductors.
It's not long, right? It's like maybe a second at the most.
It's a second or two of the conductors on the head, and then about 10 or 15 seconds of him writhing in fucking agony.
Yeah. And they said Jack Nicholson actually watched that procedure and acted that out like as best he could.
That's brutal.
To what he actually witnessed.
That's brutal. Next day, they're in a group therapy again. And in the middle of the group therapy, McMurphy walks back in, and
he's a zombie.
He's a zombie, and he's, looking like he's about to start drooling. And you're like, oh shit, they effectively wiped him. And then he shows that he's just kidding.
Yeah. It's funny when he is walking in, everybody's looking at him like everybody's like anticipation. And Nurse Ratchet looks at him and just rolls her eyes, and she grabs her mouth. She's like, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah. So let's get to kind of how this thing rolls to its end, Manster, with the party. So McMurphy decides that he's going to have a Christmas party for everybody, and he's going to utilize Candy and one of Candy's girlfriends to kind of help him get this party going. And he's also going to utilize the help of his good old friend from The Shining, Dick Halloran.
One old Scatman Carruthers.
Scatman Carruthers is the night watchman.
Mr. Turkle.
Yeah, Mr. Turkle, who loves his scotch, I guess, and they manage and white women because white puss gets him going. So they kind of get him to look the other way at night while no nurses are in the station, And these guys have a good night that entails all kinds of hijinks, Master. What do they get up to?
Oh, all kinds of stuff. They're just drinking like crazy, and early on, I guess they're all in the night order. What's his? Yeah, the
Cuckoo.
night orderly room or something like that, and the nighttime nurse, who's not actually like among them, not like Nurse Ratchet was.
Right.
She's off. She's behind some locked door somewhere. She either sees something or senses something or hears something, and she comes in and she knocks on Turkle's door, and he comes out, and he looks a little disheveled, but nothing major. He's like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, nothing's going on." And then Candy opens the door and comes out, and so that kind of actually saved him. And she's like, "You get this woman out of here right now." And then she just turns around and leaves.
Yeah, because she thinks all that's happening is that he's got a girlfriend there.
Yeah, exactly.
He tells her, it gets very lonely here at night, and she's like, I don't care.
Man has needs.
Yeah, get her out of here right now. But meanwhile, there's, everybody is drinking and, all this stuff is happening. But Billy has kind of shown a liking towards Candy, right, Manster?
Candy. Yep. So everyone's doing their thing. They got like beer balls, and they got John Berryman, sucking stuff, even though he can barely move. He's in a bed, but he's getting covered with beer, and it's great. It looks like a really fun party.
Yeah.
And then basically after a lot of that, it's kind of time to go. So the ladies, Rose and Candy, they want to take off, right? So Randall McMurphy is saying his goodbyes, and he gets to Billy. And Billy was previously dancing with Candy and, really seemed to like her. He says goodbye to Billy, and Billy's, in his very stuttery way, he's like, I'm not ready to, I'm going to miss you really bad. I'm going to really, really miss you. So McMurphy says, well, you can come with me. Just come with me. And he's like, I'm not ready for that. Like you had mentioned before, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to go. I guess he says, you like candy or something like that. And he's like, oh yeah, he's like all smiling and stuff. So he's like, you want to date with Candy? And so he's like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. But he really does. So anyway, they set up McMurphy sets up a date. So Candy and Billy go off into a room. And then McMurphy's just waiting there by the window. He's figuring, this is going to take 2 minutes. They'll be done. I'll be out of here. But since he's pretty inebriated, he falls asleep pretty quick.
Yeah. And Billy Bibbit makes love all night long.
Yeah. Billy Bibbit, apparently, he's pretty good. And everybody fucking falls asleep. Scatman Crothers' room looks like freaking something out of, I don't know, The Shining. Right? There's blood there's drinks all over the wall. It looks like blood. Anyway, everybody's asleep. And the next morning, the night orderlies come in, and right behind them is Nurse Ratchet.
Yeah, she's got some kind of jacket on. She looks like I don't know. It's like a World War II Nazi jacket.
Yeah, she wears black. Her outer coat and hat is black.
She is pissed the fuck off. Her first of all, there's a scene earlier in the movie where I think McMurphy or a couple of the guys go behind her station, and that's just like a no-no.
Yeah,
and she goes behind her station, and Scatman Crothers is back there pissing himself, drunk and asleep, and the place is just a total fucking mess. And she kind of rouses everybody awake, and McMurphy wakes up, and then she opens the room to one of the doors because she can't find Billy Bibbit, and she finds
all the orderlies to do things, right? You get him, you secure this, you get rid of that woman, you find Billy. It's very bam. Yeah. She knows what to do.
She's pointing out to everybody what to do, and they come across Billy and Candy in bed together. So she pulls Billy out, and for the first time in the movie, when she kind of is dressing Billy down, she starts this whole thing. And this is a scene where I do think, that very clearly, I want to solidify my stance on Nurse Ratchet. I don't think she's great. I just think she's not as bad as I've heard all the time. But this part here, she is purposely trying to humiliate Billy by using her relationship with his mother, who he obviously has a fealty to not let her know what happened. But she's like, I'm going to tell your mother's going to be so disappointed. I'm going to tell your mother.
Yeah.
Now, prior to her getting into that, it's the first time in the movie where Billy doesn't stutter when he's talking to her.
I was hoping you would bring that up.
Right. He's like kind of telling her that he had this night and that, he felt something, and he's actually talking clearly and not stammering or anything.
Yeah. She's like, aren't you ashamed of yourself? It's like, no.
Right.
Like no stutter at all. Like absolutely no shame.
Yeah. So she starts getting in on him about talking to the mother, and to the point where she says, listen, orderlies, take him to the doctor's office. I'll deal with him afterwards. And at this point, she's kind of going through and berating McMurphy again and kind of like just going on her trip about like order and like what they've done here. And then I don't remember, does she tell them to go find Bibbit, or does someone walks in to go grab him?
Yeah. So no, they're just cleaning things up. And, Bibbit's already been brought down to that room.
Right. But one of the nurses goes in that room.
Yeah. What are they doing at that point? He's about to escape. That's what it was. So McMurphy is now about to leave through the window, right? He had opened the window, and she tells the orderly to lock the window. And while this is happening, Billy is in the room, and then the other nurse, I forget her name.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I'm sorry for forgetting your name, other nurse, but she goes back into the room to check up on Billy, and she screams a blood-curdling scream.
Right. We go into the room where Billy is, and he's dead on the floor. And it's pretty clear he's used a piece of broken glass to slash his own throat or wrists. I think it was his throat. So Billy's dead. And now, obviously, he's killed himself because, first and foremost, he doesn't have the mental capacity to kind of deal with things the same way a lot of people do. And that's a mental health issue. Yep. So he reacts extremely to her berating him and belittling him, and he kills himself. And this is where McMurphy,
So prior to this, he's standing at the window, ready to just leave. The girls are outside the window. All he has to do is walk out the window. Everybody turns their attention on Billy. Everybody leaves McMurphy and goes to Billy. McMurphy could have just left, but he didn't. He stayed, and he went to check up on Billy. This is where this happens, what you're talking about.
He freaks out. He absolutely freaks out and gets physical with Nurse Ratched. He doesn't fucking rape her, as I guess they either were going to go, which is even better, but he chokes the shit out of her. He is on top of her, and he is choking her to the point where it looks like her face
is like blowing up like a balloon.
Yeah, her head's about to fucking blow off of her body. It's so brutal. And who gets him off? Do the orderlies?
One of the orderly guys.
They just end up kicking him off of her.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where this scene kind of like dissipates, right?
Then it's over. Like the scene's over, and we're into the next day now.
Next day, and it's back to square one.
Probably like a little further down the road than the next day.
Well, it's very close because she's got her neck is still in the, in the cast, or the whatever you want to call that. So yeah, we go to, things are back to normal prior to McMurphy. The guys are having their card game again. It's the same as it was before he showed up. Martini and a whole. Is a whole.
There's rumors about McMurphy escaping, and then there's other rumors about him being a vegetable.
Right, he's up on the top floor, and everybody's kind of talking about what has happened with him. And Nurse Ratched is behind her desk again, and she's got a neck brace on from getting attacked by him. And we kind of just like move out from there, but we then eventually get to a scene where the chief goes upstairs to the floor that he's heard the rumors that McMurphy's there. And he finds McMurphy, and McMurphy is in a bed, and
No. Chief is they're in their sleeping quarters, and Chief is sleeping or laying in his own bed, with where all the other patients are. And they bring McMurphy down the hallway to his bed, or to an empty bed anyway.
Okay.
And
All right.
McMurphy gets in the bed. The orderlies drop him off, lay him down in the bed, and Chief is excited. He's like, he comes over from his bed, and he goes over. He sees McMurphy lying there, and he starts going into his, hey, I'm feeling, what did he say? I'm feeling as big as a mountain. Because before he said, I'm not, you're much bigger than me, right? When McMurphy wanted to escape earlier, she said, no, I can't go. You're much bigger than me. But now he's saying, hey, I'm as big as a mountain. And he starts going into, being happy that McMurphy's back. But McMurphy's not responding in any way. And he picks up his head and he sees the lobotomy scars. And that's the end of the road. I think he goes into a little story about his father.
Well, he had talked about how it was earlier. I think he had talked about how alcohol had, which is a American history thing with Native Americans. Like,
yeah,
how alcohol had turned his father, who he felt was the biggest man in the world, into the smallest man in the world.
Yep.
And yeah, he sees that McMurphy has been lobotomized. He is gone. You can see he has 2 scars in the front of his head. His hair is shaved back a little bit. And the chief, kind of holds him, and, he holds him close because they had like this connection, and then he lays him down and then grabs a pillow.
Yeah. Before he does that, he says, I wouldn't leave you this way. He says, I'm going to Canada. I wouldn't leave you this way. You're coming with me. Let's go.
Right.
And then the pillow.
Smothers him with a pillow, which would be terrible as it is. A guy this size smothering you with a pillow, 56 times worse, because it's just awful. But yeah, he kills him. Mercy kill. He kills him. And then in what is, I think, an incredible scene in this movie, because it's really heartfelt, is when Chief then walks into that room that we talked about earlier on in the episode, that hydrotherapy room, and he goes to that fountain that McMurphy could not even remotely budge, which makes sense. Again, we're telling you about this Chief character. He's giant.
He's like 6'6" or something. He's massive too.
But his hands are so big.
He's so big. He's not just tall. He's just broad and massive.
Yeah. And he wraps his giant arms around that hydrotherapy fountain, and it's not effortless, but he pulls this gigantic, hundreds of pounds, 5-foot tall piece of equipment out of its fucking moorings and then lifts it up and throws it through a fucking window. And as he does this, it's in plain view of all of the other people in the ward, and we see specifically Christopher Lloyd getting very riled up.
I think
because
Tabor is actually awake when it happens, so he kind of witnesses it, and everyone else wakes up.
Yeah, they all just start cheering for him, and he just walks through that window and just starts walking across this gigantic piece of land that they have there, kind of towards the woods, and that's where the movie ends. It's the Chief has now, decided he's had enough. He's escaping from a place he doesn't even have to escape from. It's kind of symbolic because McMurphy's never getting a chance to escape from there. So yeah, that is 1975's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, celebrating its 50th anniversary as The Pint celebrates its 400th episode. Manster, let's talk about the box office.
All you care about is money.
You got the box office? I didn't.
I can just. I have a little. I just have a very little.
Just do a little bit, yeah.
Right. So not much you can find on these older films, but I did see that the initial budget was $2 million.
Okay.
The final budget, so I guess it escalated a little bit, $4 million, and the box office was $109 million.
Okay. All right.
So it did pretty darn well.
Did well, and it did very well with the awards. All right, let's rate this fucking thing.
Now! What's it gonna be, Doc? Huh? What's it gonna be?
0 to 5, 0 being the worst thing ever, 5 being the best thing ever, quarter and half scale optional. Before we drop in and give our reviews, let's talk about our Pint Insiders. I put a call out there and said, hey, give us your thoughts on 1975's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and several of them did. I'm going to read them off for you.
Oh, can I read some?
Yeah, you log into, you could read every other one. Log into Patreon and just go to the post there.
All right, I'll find it.
Manster, why don't you start off with Scary Larry Dwyer at the top of the list there?
Scary Larry Dwyer. I love Larry. An easy 5 stars. Nicholson as R.P. McMurphy is in full genius mode in a performance that may still be his best ever. His portrayal as the ultimate hippie faking insanity to get off a prison sentence is nothing short of amazing as he tries to fight. Hold on, gotta hit the extra. For the freedom that he will never have. Also, cannot understate the performance of Brad Dourif as young Billy, one of the few films in history where the film lives up to its source material. I agree with you, Larry, and I can't wait to finish that source material.
All right. Well, I'll go with a very simple one from our good friend Patrick Flanagan. 4.5 out of 5 stars, and he just leaves it at that. He just drops the mic, 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Boom. Then we have Officer Mike Simonetta. This is a 5-star movie, classic 70s cinema. Great acting, a tough story with a likable anti-hero that Nicholson excels at and Kirk Douglas could never have pulled off. Yeah, probably not. That has a downer ending. Weirdly, in the book, the chief is clearly crazy. Here he comes across as a silent hero. Great movie.
All right. Chris Frodell, our buddy from Arguing with Myself, now he seconded the last person's 5-star review on a comment earlier. So he doesn't say it here, but I'm going to he says 5 out of 5. Nicholson's charisma makes him a great foil for the way Nurse Ratched runs the ward, runs in quotation marks. There's also something to be said about how these movies were shot back then. They felt lived in and organic. That's true. I agree with that. And Manster, let's let you do the last one from someone very special.
Oh, look at that. Wow, just turned out this way. From Candy, 5 freaking stars for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The casting and performances are perfection. The film is stirring and sad while uplifting and heartfelt. A cinematic gem that scared the hell out of me as a kid, so I didn't watch it in its entirety until last week with my Manster. And I'm so glad that I did.
And that's where Chris Frodell seconded the 5-star review on his. So, okay. So, thank you very much. It's always great. Remember, if you go to thepint/Patreon, or Patreon/thepint, you can, join us and, have voting privileges and comment and stuff like that get read off. And it's always a good time. I'll go first because I think we know where the Manster's going to land. So this is a case of a movie being presented to me for years and years as one thing, and then when I see it, I feel like it's something else. I felt like this is always presented as the battle of wills between Randall McMurphy and the evil Nurse Ratched, and it's not that simple, and that's not the movie's fault, by the way. That's just what I've always heard about this movie, so I won't hold it against it.
It's tough when you're seeing an iconic movie that you've never seen that's 50 years old for the first time. True,
but what I'll say about this is this. Great performances. You got a bunch of great actors. Obviously, Nicholson's great. Louise Fletcher is great. Brad Dourif is really awesome. Larry had said that. He's always been awesome, but it was really great to see him in this. And then, even though they have less to do, Danny DeVito, Schiavelli, the guy who plays Cheswick, these other guys that are in this movie are all very memorable. And I understand why Christopher Lloyd, I understand why a lot of them went on to do much bigger things. And, as time went on. That being said, McMurphy's a piece of shit. And I don't feel like he's necessarily, just doing this, to kind of bring out the best in these other guys. I feel like he's a selfish character. He's, he's a rapist. They make it clear in the beginning. I'm not saying there haven't been characters that we've learned that about in the past, but I don't know. I just feel like I've always been kind of sold the bills of it's McMurphy versus Rat, and she's not great either, but I felt like she wasn't as bad overall as I expected. I felt like she was much tamer than I expected. I thought she was going to be sending, these guys to bed without food, and there'd be a scene where she's breaking chairs over these motherfuckers' heads. There's none of that. There's some psychological stuff going on there. But then you also get to the point where you realize that so many of these guys are there voluntarily and can leave whenever they want. And then I have a problem feeling bad for them at that point too, even though they have mental health issues and maybe it's not in their entire purview of choices to do that in terms of like feel comfortable with doing that. So that being said, I do think this is a good movie, and I'm definitely going to go lower than what anybody's going to go for on this, especially in all the comments. I'm going to go 3.75. It's a good movie. This is Manster.
Larry, I hope you're listening to this.
Manster, you had said to me a couple weeks ago, and I don't remember what the text was, but you said something about like, have you watched one of the all-time greatest movies yet? Like for the show. And I had at that point, and I didn't want to tell you like, this isn't even in my top 100. It's fine. It's a good movie. And I'm glad that I finally watched it, right? We did this, because I wanted Manster to get, a big choice he'd been wanting to do for a while. We were talking about doing this forever ago.
Years ago.
And I am glad it has been done. And I am glad that I can say I've seen it. And I'm not saying I'll never watch it again. 3.75 from me though. Manster.
At least it's a good score.
Give it your 5. Give it your 5.
We talked about this. This was going to be my second Pint Movie Invitational.
Oh shit! We stopped doing those like 8 years ago.
Yeah, we stopped those 8 years ago. So my first one was our very first one that we ever broadcasted, which was The Thing, and this was going to be my second one.
Better late than never.
Right. So this movie, all right, I got a lot to say about it, so I'll try not to sound too dorky, but it's masterfully directed. Right, the fact that it's in the actual institution that it's written about, it's really amazing. I think it helps make it feel real. It's a very emotional, devastating story about, human spirit. It works as a dark comedy. It works as a tragedy, and it's also like a good allegory for rebellion. It's kind of like Star Wars.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, Luke Skywalker. No, Han Solo never raped a 15-year-old.
That was a joke.
I know it was.
It's a great ensemble piece. Like, all these characters are awesome. That word is just filled with distinct, very memorable, and like human characters. And you got to remember, at the time, mental illness was not a thing that really people talked about or cared about or understood at all. They seem like very human characters, and it makes McMurphy's interactions with them feel personal to me. Anyway, I know you feel like they're not, but I feel like they are to me. It's a great duel. I mean, I think you're expecting like Darth Vader versus Yoda when you see this movie after hearing about it for 49 years. But I think it's a great duel between two of cinema's like really great characters. Their tension drives this film. It's amazing. And McMurphy, so Jack Nicholson, he personifies like the chaos, the freedom, the rebellion. His performance is beyond great. He's charming. He's like dangerous. He's hilarious. He's vulnerable. His energy basically ignites the screen in this movie. And then you got Nurse Ratched, who she represents like the cold institutional control, repression, passive aggressive authority. And I love the way McMurphy describes her I think it's to Speedy when he's having a one-on-one. She ain't honest. She likes a rigged game. That fucking speaks volumes about her right there.
Right.
But her performance is so perfect. It's just full of subtlety. Her eyes, her smug looks, her even tone. I mean, she raises her voice a few times, but she's always just got this even tone. And I think she's a very, very effective, I mean, you could say terrifying, but she's a very, very effective villain. All right. She uses shame. She uses rules, and she uses her authority as her weapons. All right. The movie does an absolutely great job of blurring the lines between heroes and villains. You're right. I mean, McMurphy is very selfish, obviously. But he also, like I said, he ignites the screen, and he does want to enlighten the folks around him. He wants to just bring people up. He may be selfish, but he still wants to bring people up, all right, and give them hope and give them freedom and stuff like that. And Nurse Ratched, on the other hand, wants to control the patients. She wants to be the ultimate authority. She has no heart. No heart. And like you said, the rest of the cast is amazing. Brad Dourif, awesome. Billy Bebbitt, amazing. And it's got a great ending. You know, the lobotomy is so devastating. The institution finally destroyed the individual. All right. Maybe he was a piece of shit, but they fucking destroyed him.
What happens to him at the end, I do not think, I want to make that clear, is I don't think McMurphy is a great person, but yes, there's no way, shape, or form that he, especially with them all suspecting that he was faking it, for them to lobotomize him. That was clearly like this, whether that's a statement about the mental health caregivers at the time, or see, I have a hard time thinking, what could that have been on Nurse Ratched's demand? She's a nurse. Maybe she said, you know, he's violent, he's a problem, but what they did to him, period, is fucking off the wall. And that's what they did to people back then.
And
like,
that's what they did.
You don't think the way we want you to think, or, you know, you've got like a violent tendency or something. Let's just pull your frontal lobe apart. That's fucked.
Yeah, it's fucked. You know, he didn't sacrifice himself per se, because he didn't want that to happen to himself. So he's not like a martyr, but his sacrifice allowed Chief to grow as a human, right? And to finally free himself. And the movie ends on this wicked, soaring high note, right? It's just like, just out of the stratosphere, his escape. And it's just beautiful. Absolutely a 5 out of 5, no doubt. And if any of you ever saw the Netflix show Ratched, that's pretty enlightening too. I would recommend it.
I can't stand Sarah Paulson. She's like, there's a couple actors and actresses I just don't like. I don't like her. So I know she's
great for the character too.
Yeah. And yeah, just something about her I don't care for. I'm not saying this is a bad movie. I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed my time with this movie. It did not hit me the way I thought it would hit me. So, but that being said, Jack Nicholson's performance is incredible. Louise Fletcher's is incredible. And that whole gaggle of young actors who we all mostly know as old actors now.
So many debuts.
Yeah, very, very cool. Danny DeVito is really good in this as Martini, who is just very, he has this grin.
Yeah, that look, the eyes.
This creepy grin on the whole time. All right, so that was the 50th anniversary of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I think it's only fair, since we're talking about a movie that has such a mental health tilt to it, that I'll tell you, if you're having any issues or anything, mentalhealthhotline.org. Go to that website, and if you need to call for help, if you're feeling anything, there's free and confidential 24/7 assistance at 844-623-0524. So, and if you're a listener of The Pint, you might doubly need that phone number right now, because we're on episode 400, and we're on our last 99 episodes. We talked about this back in the summertime, and we told our insiders. Now, here's the caveat to this, and this, I think Manster will be agreeable to this, because we're going to know each other forever and ever and ever. We're going to get to episode 500. We're going to do Jaws. That's going to be the end of us as a weekly podcast coming out. But I take great inspiration and thought of our good friends over at The Countdown, who ended their show at 500, but still get together once in a while and still put stuff out. I would like to put that forward as saying that we could probably do that, you know? One of the hardest things about this show, especially, you know, in the last, maybe 2 years or so, has been, I keep myself to a pretty tight schedule of every week. We just missed a week because I was sick. And even though I know that nobody is, there's no deadline on this. It's self-imposed. But I know people, it helps them get through their week. And I know I feel like I'm saying it a lot by saying that, but, I feel this pressure, like, oh shit, we didn't put an episode out last week. So me and Manster talked about it. 500 is a nice plump number. It'll bring us to 10 years. And then after that, seeing how we feel at that point, you know what? Maybe we'll do an episode every other month or something along those lines, or a couple here and there. It won't be a regular weekly podcast anymore. So we're going to it's going to be about 2 years from around this time. We're going to hit episode 500. We're going to talk about fucking Jaws, and we're going to say see ya to you one last time. Manster, all I got to say to you is that this ride, which started with Sir John, brought you on board and has continued with you longer than that original incarnation, has been an incredible honor. It's been an incredible honor to get closer to you. You've been there with me through the worst times and the best times. And I appreciate you and love you very much. And I've been waiting to say this to people because I feel like it's out there now. And I'll be honest with you, it's out there now. We got 2 years left. We're not gonna bring it up a million more times. 500 is the end of the pint as a weekly thing. Manster, are you okay with that? How do you feel?
Yeah, that's fine. You guys know, I mean, I've missed a little bit of time here and there, and who's to say that won't happen between now and 500? I don't know.
Yeah.
I've had several things to deal with, and life gets hard. I'm getting older. I'm not getting younger. I'm getting older. And life gets harder sometimes. So yeah, I think 500 is a good plump, nice ripe number to pick, and we'll go for it. And I appreciate you too, and love you, brother, and we'll always be there for each other. So
yeah, so we'll come back next week with 401, and we'll just move along. And the Pint Insider is going to stick around. There's no real solidified plans for stopping that. So you're still going to get, if you're an insider, you're still going to get a couple extra episodes every month, because I like doing that. Part of all of this is the last couple of years, particularly with my wife passing away, this was necessity for me for quite a long time. Like, I had to have this to keep me grounded. And, we've done a million movies. We've done a million topics. We've done a lot of fun stuff, and it's still fun. But I have never been a goal-oriented person. And I said to myself, you know what? Let's set a goal. Let's hit 500. Let's do this as much as we can for as long as we can. And then as I thought about it a little more, I said, you know what? I like what the countdown did. Let's keep it as an option to come out every once in a while and maybe be more of a treat than a meal for you folks. So, and that's, I know that sounds, I hate saying like nice things about us, like we're a treat to anybody, but I know some people listen and I know some people enjoy us. So, all right.
There's still a couple people that download us.
There's one or two. Two.
I appreciate all you guys like you wouldn't believe.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to test it is I haven't watched it yet, but you did. And this is for you, Chris Frodell. You requested a movie that I figure at the end of this month. It's our next episode, actually. I won't say what it is. The downloads are going to drop a little bit. I have a feeling. I can always tell whenever a movie is going to drop the downloads a little bit. And this one might, but hopefully you guys will join us for it. So we're at 400, 99 more weekly episodes left, or as close to weekly as we could do. And I also want to put out there that if you heard at the beginning of this episode a different theme song, that is Sal from Robber Barons Inc. He has provided us with our final 2 theme songs. So there is a new theme song for the main show that starts on 400 today that you heard, cool little guitar riff. And then over on the Insider, I think I put it on the last episode, so you might have already heard it. But yeah, Sal came up with some cool little riffs, cool little tunes for us. And those are our final theme songs. So very excited about that. Manster hasn't heard at least one of them yet. I'm probably not the other one. You're going to dig them. Sal's a good guitar player. And
love the last one.
Let's get out of here, Manster.
See ya.
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over. Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.